The Tao of Self-Confidence, Episode 70.
Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women finding their inner journey to self-confidence 5 days a week. Get your free audiobook by visiting thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Well, hello, friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a special lady all the way from Maui, Hawaii. So Maui Wowie. And, she is a entrepreneur and, she is, living the life according to her terms. And she's going to share her story today about her journey to self-confidence and what she had to go through. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Johnelle Conching. Johnelle, how are you doing today? Hope you're having a fantastic afternoon or morning. Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to the listeners.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much. And I'm doing awesome. Life is going crazy, but I'm just plugging along and trusting that it's working out how it's supposed to. So I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. I'm 47 years old, and I like to say wiser instead of older. I'm 47 years wiser. I have 2 children. I was born and raised on Oahu. I have 2 children. One is 21, and my other child is 18. And I'm married. This is my actually 3rd marriage, and that in itself is a journey of its own. I'm currently holding down 2 full-time jobs and doing an entrepreneurial business as well. So it's been a very exciting and fulfilling time in my life. My background is that my mom is Hawaiian, Chinese, Filipino, and my dad is French, Irish, German, Spanish. And so when people ask me what I am, I basically just say for sake of mixing it all up, I'm just chop suey. Got a little bit of everything in there, but it works well for me, I guess.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And there's no way you have a 21-year-old and 18-year-old son, because you definitely don't look like you do.
Thank you.
So you might have to share your secret for that.
Family. Rely on your family.
So, Johnelle, what is your favorite self-confidence quote?
My favorite self-confidence quote is whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, by Henry Ford.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And, Henry Ford always has some awesome quotes. And in your own words, how would you describe or how would you define self-confidence?
For me, self-confidence is the ability to laugh, cry, forgive, accept, and love all of who I am. And I think that's important as I've progressed, or I don't know if it's even progressing, but the more that I focus on and think about self-confidence, there's got to be laughter, there's got to be some tears shed, and definitely the ability to forgive and accept and love all of who I am, I think is the most important.
Thank you. I believe self-love is really important when it comes to self-confidence, right? I mean, if we don't love ourselves, how do we expect to have others love us? So it really has to start with us. So thanks for sharing that. And, what was your life like before the discovery of self-confidence?
Well, it's interesting as I reflect on it. Growing up, my mom, and when I say growing up, I mean from the age of 8, 9, 10, my mom all of a sudden became very involved in personal growth. And she was taking classes and seminars, and being her children, we were dragged along, signed up. She signed us up for the children's classes of it, and then we got involved with the teen classes of it. So my life has always been involved in some way, shape, or form with personal growth, but I never thought about self-confidence. And it was kind of funny because I just didn't. I mean, my life was just full. Like, I've been married 3 times. There was a lot of doingness in my life, get things done. I'm a very great multitasker, but it was always about doing. And so it wasn't until later in my life, actually when I met my husband now, Bruce, that I really started to evolve into being consciously aware of my own self-confidence. And we've been married now 11 years, and we're dating 2 years before getting married. So we've been together for 13 years. And it wasn't until around 13 years ago that I really had the ability or the even consciousness being married to him or even in our dating to start thinking about my self-confidence. So it was really interesting that I had to reflect on that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And so you mentioned that it wasn't until you met your now husband that you realized your own self-confidence. But like, what was that aha moment in that period then when you realized, you are confident in doing what you do, you started loving yourself, you started recognizing who you really are?
I think, well, what happened for me was we were dating. And so it was about 13 years ago. We were dating, and at that time, someone had stole my car, and he was awesome. He went to buy me a car, and we were at the dealership, but we were at the car dealership, and I picked out my car. We went through the whole process, and then we ended up in the little office where they do all of their negotiations, and they were running like my credit check. And so the gentleman had asked, okay, where are you currently working? And I gave him the answer. And I had only held that job down at that point for like a year and a half. And he said, well, that's not long enough. Where did you work before? And I gave my answer, and he said, well, how long were you working there? And I said, about 2 years. And he said, well, that's not long enough. And so where did you work before? And as he's asking me these questions, I started to feel defeated every time I said, well, I worked here. And he's like, well, that's not enough. Where did you work before? And it was funny and interesting at the time that I didn't even realize that my pattern was after 2 years, I was kind of getting bored with the job. I'd move on to another job. And so in his frustration, he stood up and he said, well, I've got to go and talk to my manager. And I don't know if, this is going to work. And he walked out the door and left my boyfriend, who then became my husband. He and I were sitting in the office, and I just felt so defeated. And I sat there in the chair, and my head was down, and tears just started running down my face. And Bruce, my husband, he said, look at me. And I couldn't look at him. And he took my face in his hands, and I looked into his eyes, and he said, you are not your jobs. That is what you do. It is not who you are. So do not allow this man to make you feel that way. And in all of the bravery that I could muster at that time, okay, it was just, but that was my aha moment. And as I reflect on it even now, it's interesting that I allowed this man that I've never met before, and to be quite frank, never met after, to instill or impress upon me my self-worth or lack thereof. And it was from that moment that I was like, okay, I get it. And just really started then from that, my self journey of who am I really and what is my self-confidence level. And so it's been a very kind of cool journey to be on. And it definitely has shaped, I think, being more aware of who I am and my self-confidence level. And my husband always says this a lot, care, but not that much. Meaning, care about things, but if it's taking more energy from you than it is the other person, then not that, don't care that much. And I think that's important in self-confidence. Like, you know what? I care what other people think, but really it's about, in terms of self-confidence, what do I think about me? And that's what has kind of saved me, that other quote. And that's a Bruce Conching quote. I care, but not that much.
I love your story. I think we should make a movie out of it. I mean, it's so romantic. But, it's really true. A lot of us, especially as women, we define ourselves by our jobs, and we have to realize we aren't our jobs, I remember this question that someone asked me, and it was, tell me who you are without telling me what you do. And that's such a powerful question, because most of us, we define ourselves by our jobs, right? And
right.
It's like, I'm a banker.
Or not even our jobs and our roles.
Yeah. It's so true, right? And, nobody really asks us that question, right? Like, tell me who you are without telling me what you do. And I even remember when I used to have a job, people would always ask me what I do, but I could never really describe what I do, or I never really could tell them what I do. And I don't know if that was just a sign, like maybe I was just not meant to tell them what I'm supposed to do, but it's such a different feeling when you can start telling people who you really are. I'm a warrior, or maybe, I love to do this. I like, it's just everything about you and the things that you like to do versus like, what do you do for a living, or what's your role in life, right? So I'm really glad you brought this up, because I think this is such an important topic, especially for our listeners out there, especially when they feel like, am I just my job, right? Is this all that I have? And, just listening to you and your aha moments, like, no, you're not. You're way more than that. You have way more talents and you know, talents that God or the universe has given you. So thank you so much for sharing that story. But, you know, your husband sounds like an amazing man too.
Well, I think I left out because he's also been in personal growth and motivation, and he, you know, he's created curriculum, and so for self-empowerment and awareness, and so around that, ironically, one of the things we help people to discover is who they really are. And it was interesting that just this morning he actually left. I had to take him to the airport to go. He's teaching in the Philippines for the next 2 weeks. And before he left this morning, he said, "Okay, who are you?" And we have what we call our spiritual contract. So it has nothing to do with what you do. And he said, "Don't forget who you are. So who are you?" And I said, "I am the essence of aloha. I am God's reflection. That's who I am." And that really helps me to every day take a breath and go, okay, when I get so wrapped up in the doingness, like we're in transition of our lives. With not having a 21 and an 18, my daughter's getting married in December and she doesn't live with me. And my son's at school at Portland State, so he's not with me. So we literally have been, we moved. So we're physically moved into a new home, downsizing and transitioning. And in all of the busyness, sometimes I, you know, forget to just say my spiritual contract to set the tone for myself. Okay, this is who I am. And then allow all the doing to unfold, but more from who I am, not from, I got to get this done. I got to, you know, vacuum the rug. I got to unpack the boxes. Oh, and then I got to go to work and all of that stuff. So it really has helped me to center myself.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, Johnelle. And, you know, what's your life like now after that discovery or after that aha moment?
I'm more, I know that I'm more patient with myself, and I take things seriously, but not, you know, I care, but not that much. Life's going to still happen. There's going to be ups and downs, but I can still enjoy the journey along the way. And there's a concept that we use, if you don't mind my sharing. Most of us do things from do, have, be. If I do this, then I have that, then I'll be this. And the concept that we embrace through the classes and my husband created, but also just in my everyday living, it's not from if I do this, have this, then be this. It's from be, first who I am, then I do, and then I have. And it just changing that little mindset, my life is more fulfilling, not from getting accolades and things like that, but just from connection with myself and connection with other people has definitely strengthened. And it's been amazing. And I feel like I'm more in control in an ironic way of my life. And when I say control of my life, more so just in control of me.
Thank you, Johnelle. And I like that concept you have, that be, do, have,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of people, they wait for that perfect moment, while most, you know, visionaries and entrepreneurs already see themselves as being that person.
Mm-hmm.
And they just do whatever it takes to get that end result. So, you know, it's just these little things, little tweaks in your life that can make a huge difference. And, you know, just something as simple as that, too, is such a great advice and great tip. But, you know, to the woman who's listening to your story, you know, she's on her own journey to self-confidence. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
It's the most cliches of cliches, but it's the truth. Love is the answer. And I hate to say it that way, but it really is. It's loving yourself. Love is the answer. Like, that's it. And it's the simplest, and yet it can be the hardest, because we become so judgmental of ourselves. And then if I can connect that with the self-confidence quote, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So no matter what choice we have or we make about ourselves, we're going to gather evidence to be right about it. And the answer really is love. So if you think, oh, you know, I'm not lovable, then you're going to gather evidence to be right about it. And so in terms of self-confidence, just plant the seed that love is the answer, and forgiveness, laugh often, and lighten up. And what I mean by lighten up is, you know, not one, take things so seriously, but lighten up from the inside.
Thank you for that. And it's true. We just sometimes got to take, you know, lighten up a little bit. Just be in the moment. Be in the moment and carry light within. Thank you. And Johnelle, if our listeners want to get to know a little bit more about you and what you and your husband do in terms of the self-development courses, is there any websites or any social media profiles we can connect with?
Our website is ikeponoquest.com, and It's a Hawaiian word and people will get a little confused, but it's www.ikepono, quest, quest.com. So we have our ikeponoquest.com website. We're also on Facebook. But ikepono in Hawaiian, ike is to know, and pono is about righteousness. So knowing what's right and alignment for you. And really what that then translates to is who are you? To be absolutely clear who you are.
Thank you. And I like that. You know, I always love hearing like Hawaiian words and the meanings behind them because I know how powerful they are. So thanks for sharing that. And to our listeners, if you want to connect with Johnelle, feel free to head over to thetaoselfconfidence.com and search for Johnelle's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about today. And I just want to thank Johnelle for taking the time to share her story and, you know, sharing her tips on self-confidence. So Johnelle, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. And to the women or to the listeners out there, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Subscribe to The Tao of Self-Confidence on iTunes and Stitcher to hear more stories of amazing women finding their inner journey to self-confidence.